already approved February 28th. And if you want to take a minute to look at, start with March 28th, that was a fairly short one. The names of that, particularly Curtis and Bob.
Have the selectmen gotten the request for the withdrawal?
No.
Yep.
And I'll talk about that.
Okay.
Okay. Anything on March 28th minutes first?
That's good.
All right, do I have a motion?
Motion approved, the March 28th, 2017 Conservation Commission minutes is written.
I'll second.
Okay, second by Curtis. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 I'll abstain.
Wasn't there either.
Okay, April 25th. Give you a couple of minutes to go through this thing. I just produced it. Any comments, adjustments?
I had one. It was my error in not speaking during public session, but the thing under review of mail about me asking about the in-kind replacement, I don't know if that should be under the header of review mail or other or something, and probably should make a note of the fact that I was stepping out of my board role and
Okay.
it's a public. I mean, if you just wanted to move it to the public input section, that would be fine too.
All right. How about put under other business and note that you step down temporarily. Pose the question. Any other amendments? Do I have a motion?
Motion approved, April 25th minutes is amended.
Second?
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Abstention again.
Okay. So we're up to date on minutes then. Next on the agenda, wetlands and shoreline permit reviews. We have one application. And let's see, when was it? unfortunately submitted nearly a month ago, just shy of a month ago. Almost as if the timing was perfect. 398 South Shore Road, map 114, lot 43, wetlands permit application. Plan is to construct a perched beach, install steps to the lake, extend the walkway to the dock, and restore an area of abandoned walkway.
And where is it?
It is 398 South Shore Road,
Should
map
make it the second
114, 43.
Second to last letter, I think, 400, so that's good.
Okay.
Kenneth and Claudette Edwards. Okay, so this is application package prepared by Thomas Varney, Varney Engineering. 311 square feet of lake bank, 15 linear feet, temporary impact of 181 square feet of lake bank. And this is review. We have the Heritage Bureau map. This map. We're gonna have to pass this around, this is the only copy we have, so let's look.
That's the last one.
Okay. Yeah. Is that a pretty steep short one?
A few photographs, lot is 0.39 acres. Right away, the lake on either side. Butter notifications. And
Unless that's previous page, just was a copy.
okay, plan shows existing and proposed.
Easier for you?
What's that?
So I'll make it easier for you. Reading over your shoulder?
Right ahead. Alright, so, perched beach, right to the shoreline, steps to the lake adjacent to it, between a lift-up dock and the proposed perched beach area. It looks like a little retaining wall on the uphill side and the downhill side right at the lakefront.
And for, there is a lot of vegetation.
Yep. Yep.
It's not just on the cliff, it's actually there.
It does, yeah, there's some photographs in here that seem to indicate that as well. This does not look like it's proposing any tree removal or anything. Let's just shift that over a little bit.
Sure. I'm good. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, now we have this, the historical resources review and Army Corps form in the back, so this is the only plan we're dealing with. So they tallied up existing trees. I don't see any indication of any tree removal, at least, but they would certainly be within their rights to drop a couple if they needed to.
It's a width of 16 feet, because it's a 6-foot drop. It's a pretty good grade.
Yeah, it's a fairly steep one.
Yeah.
Existing walkway is going to be extended to the dock, so that's this.
Okay.
Abandoned area of walkways to be restored. Where is the abandoned area? It shows the list too. It's existing.
Oh, this very, right there.
Yeah,
That
it's
little
like-
section.
oh, yeah.
So it goes a little bit to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
right
yeah,
of the
got it.
dock, and
Yeah.
we're gonna bring it straight,
Straight up there.
straight there
Mhm.
instead. And so they're leveling out the perch beach, so while they're cutting into the slope just a little bit, putting retaining wall. Looks pretty. Maybe 2 feet in height.
So how high that retaining wall is.
Thank you.
Well, by my read, I think it's fully in compliance. Certainly, I think it's fully in compliance with what's,
Yeah.
what's being proposed here.
Yeah.
Certainly install it, keep it perched, minimize any of the runoff into the lake.
The only thing I can add is this is one of the ones I look at every day, and they do a nice job when they built the house, and they haven't disturbed the shoreline, so they seem to be doing all the right things.
Yeah, just curious.
Well, if that's 12 inches, they're showing it, and if it's to
Yes,
scale, it's about 2 to 3 feet.
Right. You look at the, you're showing it, yeah, you have a combined
4 feet.
just over, yeah, just about 4 feet.
And the front's going to be 12. So.
Yep.
It's good to me.
Seems like it.
Any other concerns?
So again, still learning the rules and getting them internalized. The 30 days is, we have 30 days to act, is that what it is? Or?
Yep. And as we were reminded at the last meeting, the DES has the option to kind of not really listen to us after 14 days anyway, but that's, yeah, we're within our 30 days. This won't really have an impact on DES processing if we, don't provide any comments to the negative.
These applications do come before the planning board, just so the planning board's aware of what's going on in case there's a steep slope
Good.
issue or
Good.
something. And I had seen it, and I didn't see anything that really stood out, otherwise I would have sent something to the commission. And if I ever see anything that really is so blatantly obviously wrong, I personally write a memo myself to DES, so be assured.
Yeah, I was just more curious about the pitch of the beach because we're pouring so much sand in the lake, everybody puts their pitch beaches in, with a minimum wall. And we get water like we have now, and half the beach is in the lake.
Well.
Doesn't take very much wave action, when it's up over it like that.
Okay, anyone care to make a motion?
Make a motion to, well, we're not approving it, right? We're just,
Well, we're basically saying to forward it on to the DES without comment.
make a motion that we forward on to DES without comment.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye, that is unanimous. And that was Mark and Bill. Making a motion. Okay. So, next item. Election of officers. Anybody decide to change their mind after last month's meeting? Do I hear anybody? I had brought up the my reservations about continuing as chair because of time limitations and all that. There was just an unbelievable noise generated by the members of, you know, reaching forward and volunteering to take the place.
Yeah. Shocking for possession.
No takers? No takers? I will state that I will continue in this capacity. I would certainly appreciate if we revisit next year, and perhaps we'll have one or two more members
That would be
might
the
be
thing.
able to contribute as
We do-
well.
We do need to get some more permanent members.
Yeah.
And again, I said, I'd almost be willing to help you out, but having just been on the board for 2 months essentially, I'm not comfortable, I know how to run a meeting.
Okay. Curtis, you willing to continue in the vice chair position?
Yeah, I can continue vice chair.
Okay, all right. Anyone care to move myself for chair and Curtis for vice chair?
I'd like to move Ron Gill as chair for the coming year of the New Durham Conservation Commission.
We certainly will second that.
Okay, any further discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Did
And-
your wife get some of the discussion?
How about the vice chair position?
Go for it.
Would like to see Curtis continue in the vice chair's position, so I'll nominate him.
And I will second that nomination. Motion.
Okay.
Yes.
Admirable job.
Further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, Curtis. Thank you very much for
Sure.
your
Thank you.
willingness to continue.
Thank you, Ron.
All right. Okay, review of mail, doesn't look like anything terribly exciting this month. Environmental news from DES, and a newsletter from Moose Mountains, National Greenways. And actually, while I see this in front of me, if any of you have already seen this, since the time that the copy was generated for this newsletter, the Widowmaker Farm, here it says the remaining $12,500 to be raised gets down to about $6,500 now. So it's moving quite a bit closer. And I expect that probably no later than July, that we'll be able to kind of move ahead with finalizing it. So what has happened, we had moved to forward this to the Board of Selectmen for approval. Procedurally, it's not happening yet, because what's going to happen is as the town is going to hold the executory interest, we have to have the easement language finalized so that the town can sign on the dotted line as well. So there will be that work that needs to be completed prior to going to the Board of Selectmen for their approval. We kind of do it a one-stop shop, so to speak, rather than have to go back multiple times and just do it like that. So that's what's.
And how will that differ? In other words, we we've done in the past.
Mhm.
How does that differ from the actual easement language?
It-
Other than the
they're
first
really-
paragraph?
It's built into the easement language, so, you know, there's additional signatories to the easement itself, that being the town, and it's Board of Selectmen that, I believe, although I think they deputized me last time around, and we did Thompson, I think, they just said, well, you go ahead and sign it.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see how that goes, but, insofar as the Board of Selectmen have final approval on the town taking an interest, a property interest, you know, they have the, so they have the option to
Thompson
sign.
and Woodward, and
What's that?
I see Woodward as well, right? Didn't we take the executory on that? Though we did.
I think you're right, that's right, that's right.
But I remember the language wasn't
Yep.
wasn't that extraordinarily different.
No.
You know.
No, it's
different.
built right into the easement, if the town
That's right.
chooses to have, provide some comment, and at the time, we did Thompson, as a matter of fact, we did have comment by town council to adjust certain parts of the language.
Yeah.
Don't know if that'll be the case this time, but it should be pretty straightforward, it's nothing terribly complicated, we're looking at pretty standard language here, getting a little better at it, so. Okay, so that was my item about.
Is Moose Mountain taking care of that? Are they,
Yep.
Yep. Conjuring it up.
Yep, it's their responsibility to come up with a draft, and in conjunction with the property owners to get the language massaged appropriately and have the right values included, those of the property owners, and certain requirements that Moose Mountains has, and then
Right.
hopefully the town doesn't impose too much more on top of that. I don't think, I can't imagine we would. All right. Anything else? New or old business we wanted to talk
Yes,
about?
I would like
A
to
town
talk about
property.
regenerating, bringing before the selectmen the idea of conserving the town-owned lot that was formerly the Mackenzie property, which we've been through before. You remember it? I think I don't know whether Bob's walked it, but everybody else I think has been up there.
Yeah, actually, maybe not there yet.
Can you enlighten me
It's-
where it is?
Okay, it's the west side and north side of Shaw's Pond.
Okay.
54 acres, very steep, rocky, bony, been cut over in the past, mostly cut over. Some of it's too steep to even be economically feasible. It's got 3 homes on it that are on substandard lots. One of the owners has expressed an interest in buying enough of the property to, make it whole and be able to put a garage on it and such. Other than that, the right-of-way in is a part of the back lots. It's part of the woodlot itself, which the town owns, and the 3 pieces of property. And the owners of those 3 properties do maintain it. The old bridge on it is not gonna last a lot longer, so there's gonna be some cost involved there, but I don't think there's any liability to any requirement for the woodlot owner, which would be the easement, well, it would still be the town, but it would be under the easement, to rebuild that bridge. As far as I could read in the original deed, those back lots would have to sustain the cost of whatever they do to maintain that road. A big culvert would do it. It's not a tremendous flow through it. The beaver do block it off every year, and the neighborhood just seems to go ahead and, I don't know whether they blow the dam or what they do, but the concern was that a lot of that beaver dam water, when they release it, goes into Shaw's Pond, and it's pretty ugly. Anyway, getting back to the easement, we proposed it before with the earlier select board, and they chose to just hold on to it. And I think I've spoken to at least one of the new selectmen, just on an opportunistic basis, and he seemed to be amenable. And so I think it's time to bring it back up. Don Holm, the abutter, would like to see it conserved. He expressed a desire for us to regenerate the initiative. There's not a lot of economic value to it. There's been discussion that a house lot was possible on it, but Don Holm owns, I don't remember, it's 400 or 600 feet of that right of way, and he does not have to give permission. I'm sure they could sue him for permission of some sort, but he does not have
And I believe our current zoning ordinance wouldn't allow it anyway, because it wouldn't have any frontage on a class 5 road.
That's correct.
So
That's true, we did talk about that.
that knocks that out.
It does go out and does have some frontage, by the way.
I recognize that, but it's not
Sufficient.
nearly enough.
Sufficient,
Yeah.
does it have to be 150 feet now or something?
200.
Is it 200?
So,
Okay.
For a small lot.
But
Very
incidentally,
small.
it has the kind of the west portion of the lake and then wraps around that beaver swamp. And then it has a 50-foot right-of-way of which it owns kind of a little more additional land on the north side. And then it kind of spreads when it hits the Kings Highway.
But a right-of-way doesn't count as a frontage.
No,
no,
but it's gotta be
but there is,
class 5 road.
yeah, there's frontage, and any attempt.
So anyway, I think it's very desirable, really, as far as a connection to all the Kirby property and what the properties under Landvest, and also the wildlife management area at Beaverbrook. It's a very large piece of area that it ties in with. And I'm sure that, I think we've talked about it with Moose Mountain in the past, and they expressed a desire to participate if we.
Yeah, see, so, first of all, just wanna refresh everybody's memory that we had gone through a listing of town-owned properties as the Conservation Commission provided input to the Board of Selectmen at the time. And on this parcel in particular, I think they concurred that its highest and best use was essentially conservation, particularly given the location and to assist in protecting the watershed of Shaw's Pond. It is very steep. Nobody can really do anything with it. It's, you know,
That's what
it
it was
really
taken
has to stay
for
the
Texas.
way it is. So in its current state is basically how I think everybody would probably like it to stay.
Yeah.
In order to pursue an easement on it, seeing as the town owns the property, there would have to be another party that would have to get involved and hold the easement. And so that's, you know, Moose Mountains is certainly probably a suitable partner in that regard. I could certainly bring it up with the Stewardship and Lands Committee, and, you know, eventually with the board of Moose Mountains to see if there is an interest, and there will come a discussion about costs, I'm sure.
Well, hopefully that the single owner that would be interested in making his lot whole would be willing to step up to the plate and pay a little bit for it, that would defray expenses. There shouldn't be any great expense.
Do we know that there hasn't been any lot line adjustment like that already consummated?
Has it what?
Any sort of lot line adjustment already been completed?
It would have had to have been approved by the selectmen, and I haven't seen anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't recall there being anything, no.
I don't
But I
recall any.
just want to make sure. I mean, actually, yeah, I mean, there would have to be a sale, one would expect, and then the planning board chair would have to approve the lot line adjustment, right? Because I think you pretty much still designate it to the chair. Is that still okay under our regs for just the chair to do it, or as long as it complies with the ordinance, or?
I'd have to check that.
Okay. It used to be that. That's
Voluntary
something
lot
that-
mergers can be done by the building or code enforcement.
Right.
officer, but
Voluntary
Yeah.
mergers, but a lot line adjustment.
I'd have to check on that.
Okay.
It may be difficult, anyway, you have to look at it because it's very steep, the other side of the road, and what constitutes a usable land for making it whole, so to speak. You can't have vertical property, right?
Right, right.
So,
Well,
I'm not sure just exactly what kind of a shape it would be.
well, I'd be happy to go to Moose Mountains and see if there's interest. One thing I'll also point out is there may be an alternate designation or mechanism whereby the property could be kept essentially preserved. I think we've already established that it's going to be extremely difficult for anyone to make any use of it for
That's right.
any residential development.
That's right.
And there might be, I'm just thinking out of the box here, there might be some way that you could sort of designate it as a town forest that would hold some protections that, without requiring a third party easement
Yeah.
perhaps,
True.
you know.
I think that came up, actually, but
Mhm.
I can't recall what the argument was against it.
I don't know.
Except to retain it as that possible property to sell, make a few bucks for the town.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly wanna make sure that there's adequate protections in that declaration. It might be worth a little bit of research and asking around to see how it's been done. in other
There is a town
jurisdictions.
beach there, you know, and of course there is beach frontage, I was gonna say, or at least sandy shore frontage.
Not on that side though, right? Not on-
Yeah, it gets pretty muddy pretty fast. So
No, but I mean, the town
the
beach
beach
you're
is
referring
on the-
to is not on this far side.
No, it's on the far side.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
But it does about to 34 more acres of conserved land, so the home property.
Mhm.
And actually, I think that the land behind it, I can't think of the name right now, it's just been bought, and I thought they were trying to get rid of some of that back land, you know, there was some talk of it, but I'd have to ask Don Home.
You say
So
the
there's
land
this-
behind it.
Over
the top of
the remainder of that beaver pond going north, up
okay.
the brook.
I got you,
Yeah.
I got you.
So there's more wetland, in other words, that potentially would be available. In fact, I've probably got it right here
Okay.
somewhere. That's why I threw the pile of stuff in.
I'll figure out what to do.
It was sold by Larson, that's what it is, the neighboring property.
Yeah, just with regard to the town forest thing, while the town has a parcel that is often referred to as a town forest, it is not really a town forest. It's a property that is owned by the town that is used for commercial extraction of timber, and it has been bequeathed to the town, but it is not truly a town forest.
You're talking Shirley Forest.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And, the town forests, officially designated town forests, come under the purview of the Conservation Commission.
That's correct.
That property is not under our control.
So we found.
Yes, and so, that's where I'm thinking, if you look into a town forest designation, then the commission has a much more direct role in determining what its future is and what it does get used for.
Right.
So that's a possibility as well.
Well, the nice thing there, actually, the asset, is that it does have a woods road that goes all the way back into it, which ties back into the Beaver Brook properties.
Mm-hmm.
So it's access, cross-country skiing, that kind of thing, or just hiking.
Yeah,
It opens up a big area back there
yeah.
and goes back to the management area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, from a recreational standpoint or just plain conservation, it's a worthy piece, but there's very little other value for it.
All right. So is that the consensus of the commission members, that we start looking into protections for that, either through easement or town forest designation?
Which way does that have to start? Do we have to start with the selectmen, or do we start looking?
I
I suspect we do.
would suggest we get some information together first. And then, yes, you're absolutely right, we would have to approach the select.
The only information that probably needs to be put together would be whether in fact that neighbor would follow through and be willing to pay some.
Well, I think that, and whether or not there's an easement partner, right?
Okay.
That's a pretty important component there, if that's the direction that we want to go.
Well, I can only go back to the past,
Mhm.
in which it was my understanding that it was acceptable. That was back with Fletcher.
Yep. One thing that you have to recognize, though, and that is that, there's liabilities that are associated with holding an easement, and
Yeah.
costs associated with holding
Yeah.
an easement,
And-
as I've come to know all too well.
And that right-of-way deed, I got Clay Mitchell's opinion of it, but I read through it and I didn't really read it quite the way he read it.
Mhm.
And you can read it, I have it. But I think it's kind of like Lions Pride Road. I think, as Mike Spelt said, yeah, I read the language too, but it's probably breakable.
Mm.
And I'm not sure that the responsibility, if you began to use it as a town forest, whether you would assume some responsibility for that road, at least the bridge.
I see. Yeah.
Not that it would be a tremendous expense but expense is expense,
Right, exactly.
Nobody
wants expenses.
No.
No matter how small.
Another $10,000 is a big expense when you have to go to the public and ask them for it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay. Well, like I said, I'm happy to talk to Moose Mountains about that and try to get some feedback.
And I think they have probably on file a copy of the deed, but if not, I have it.
Okay. Anybody want to take up looking into town forest designation? What's involved in that?
Yeah, well,
You will? Okay.
yeah.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate that.
I'm not sure where to start, but I'll find it.
Well, it's, start, how about with the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions
I
website?
think they have some
Okay.
files online.
Yeah,
Alright.
I think they'll.
Which
they'll have
I've
some
used before. Yeah.
Pretty good information on there. That's a good
Yeah.
starting point. I imagine that
Yeah.
Spinnef may have some resources.
I actually do have some literature on my paper that I paid for.
that'll point in the right direction of the associated RSAs that,
Right. Yeah, no, I'll.
govern that as
Town
well.
forest still requires stewardship, right? Or is that something that the town?
I think it's generally assumed that the town conservation commission provides that stewardship. I mean, that mechanism has been in place for a long time. I mean, really since the enabling legislation for conservation commissions in the state. I think that was one of the first things that was envisioned for conservation commissions was to manage town forests. You know, that's really what one of the biggest original purposes of a commission, so.
Yeah, I think we began to go in that direction, call it a year ago or whenever, and they just, it was, we want to keep it just.
Yeah.
We might need it, I think was the way it was
Right,
put.
Yeah.
right.
And it was sold, 2 out of 3 anyway was sold,
Yeah. Yep.
so.
Okay, so I'll look at that with Moose Mountains. And Bill, get a little research, we'll
Yeah.
talk about it next
We'll
month.
look at it, yeah, I'll get it with it.
Okay, any other items under new business? I don't think I have anything either. All right. Can you care to make a final motion?
Motion adjourned.
I'll second that one.
Okay. Bob and Bill, motion to adjourn at 7:49. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous.